back, everybody. Today we're going over two different scopes from Primary Arms, but they're very similar in terms of the reticle and the fact that they're both prism scopes, I guess you could say. So we have the 2.5 magnification here, and also the 4x magnification. You guys have seen these on the channel now for months, really 6, 7, 8 months. I've had at least this one in 4, and done a ton of shooting with them on multiple platforms, ARs, AKs, even some of the hybrid guns out there, and really we've had nothing but good results with them. So we'll actually get into some of the details of them here, and then come back at the end and let you know what I think of them overall. Taking a look at these scopes together, you'll see the size is pretty similar. The 4X is obviously a little bit longer due to the added magnification that you need there, even on a prism scope. So just taking a look at them overall, you'll note a few features of them. The turrets there are capped, so some of you guys are really going to like that. Some of you guys aren't. It's really a personal preference thing there, but they do have half MOA adjustments on them for both windage and elevation. They do both also come with scope covers. I did take the rear ones off on both. I think I took both of them off on the 2.5 just because generally they kind of annoy me. Up front, you can, it is threaded, I should say, so that way you can add a kill flash on there should you choose to do so. Your brightness settings for the illumination is here on top, and it has nice positive clicks all the way around. Really, you can see it in bright daylight from anywhere on like probably 4 on up. So depending on how bright you actually want it to get is what it's going to do there. And again, guys, with all the lights around here, what you're seeing in terms of brightness isn't exactly what you see in real life, but you can get an idea just looking at that real quick as we run through it. Also, in your brightness adjustment knob here, we do have our battery compartment. Rotate that out, hopefully. And it does take one CR 2032 battery, so a very common battery out there for optics especially. So it comes with one, and then finding them is pretty simple. They actually have those at like Walmart and really anywhere you go. Up front here we have these two screws, and what those are for is for adding an extra Picatinny rail on there. So especially on the 4X, I know a lot of guys are going to want to add a backup optic. Should you choose to do so, you can mount it right there on your Picatinny rail section. Back here on the rear of the scope, we have our focal piece, and what that's for is to allow you to focus the reticle to your eye, because not everyone's vision's the same. So you want to dial that in so that way to you the reticle looks as crisp, I should say, as could be. One thing that I really like about these two scopes is the fact that they both accept any ACOG mount out there. Now they do come with this mount here, which is going to give you a standard height mounting solution for your AR-15 rifles that mounts on the 1913 style rail and will work just fine as is. Now, if you guys want to add, you know, an aftermarket like a quick detach or something like that made for an ACOG, which there are plenty out there, they will all mount just fine on these optics. Now, one thing I do recommend too is when you get these in, to remove these screws here and Loctite those in. Like anything you on a rifle, if it screws, you generally want to use a little bit of blue Loctite on there to make sure it's not going to come loose due to vibrations over time. A really cool thing I found out here about these, especially when you use them on an AK with the RS Regulate mount, is that little hole right there, which is designed to be able to see through when you mount these on a carry handle on an M4 or M16 rather, also allows you to use your iron sights on an AK. When I saw that, I was just thinking, man, that's freaking brilliant. And it is brilliant. It works really well, and you can get a clear sight picture either with this or straight through there. Of course, the ACSS reticle is something that a lot of folks are really interested in with these, so let's step outside and let you guys take a look at what it actually looks like when you're looking through the glass of the 4X. I had to use my crappiest camera for this shot, and I apologize because it's not going to be as clear as it is in real life, but even with this camera you can see the optical clarity there is pretty good, and that's how the reticle looks when you just kind of quickly acquire it. You can see how that house looks over there, and then with the 4x magnification, that's how it looks there. With the 2.5, it's obviously going to be a little bit wider field of view there, and the reticle is going to appear, you know, a little bit larger due to the outer horseshoe that's not present here at the 4x. With that camera setup, it was probably a little hard to pick up the details there in the actual reticle, but I'll roll in a picture here of the actual reticle for both the 4x and the 2.5x. You can see the 2.5x is got the extra outer ring on there, and one thing I really like about it is for, you know, CQB type applications with the 2.5x, that outer ring is very, very easy to pick up, and it just draws your attention to it. It almost looks like a big old red dot when you do a quick acquisition on it. Now, a dot right in the middle of both horseshoes is where you want to get your zero at. So on the 2.5, you zero it at 50 meters, and on the 4x, you zero it at 100 yards, 50 yards and 100 yards. So that's how you get your holdovers, and that's what they're calculated for. On this one, your 50 out to 300 is going to be pretty similar. You're going to have maybe a couple inches high, a couple inches low at different distances. You'll be right back on at 200 for those of you guys that are familiar with that type of zero. And then after that, you can use your dots below. So you have your 400, 500, and 600 yard dots for your holdovers. The dots on the left and the right there are for folks who are actually running with a weapon. It's been calculated, and I don't know by whom, that most folks with a weapon run around 8.6 miles per hour on average. So if you have a running target or threat, you can actually use that as your holdover at different distances. On the outside there, it's kind of complex, guys, and actually Primary Arms on their YouTube channel, I'm going to put a link here so you guys can actually check it out if you want to see this thing really explained in detail. But on their website, on their YouTube channel, I should say, they really explain how to use the ranging on the side. But essentially, if you have somebody who's 5'10" and they're standing up, for instance, and they appear to be from the bottom of the bar there all the way up to the top of the bar, that puts them at 300 meters or 300 yards. I'll say meters, excuse me, 300 yards, and then so on and so forth for the variable distances. But again, if you really want to check that out and see it in detail, they explain it much better than I can. So check that video out and they'll explain it to you. Over on the 4X, you don't have the outer horseshoe, but you do have, a few other benefits there. And one thing that's really nice is when you actually get these in, there's a really nice explanation sheet and the instructions of how to actually zero and use these different holdovers. I believe both of these are zeroed with the M855 ammo out of a 16-inch barrel. So if your system's a little bit different, or if your ammo is a little bit different, you may be off an inch or two here or there. You really have to just actually go out and shoot it to find out yourself, but it should put you on pretty close. I know a lot of folks are actually using the M855 and 109 variants anyway, so for that, it really should be right on. I suppose by now you know I'm kind of a fan of these, especially for the money that they come to market at, and I believe the 4X I think is $259, and the 2.5 I think is $219. So at that price point, considering they come with a mount and can interchange with tons of different mounts, they have that reticle. The glass is good. It's not great. I mean, you saw it out there, again, through one of my poorer cameras, but it has plenty of light coming through it in terms of light gathering capabilities. That's one of the good things about having a fixed power scope versus a variable power. For those of you that are sort of new to it, the fixed powers, generally speaking, are going to be able to gather more light because they have less lenses going through them, like you would with a variable power. So that the more lenses you have, the more degradation of light. It's just the way it works. So good lenses all the way around. They're fully coated lens. It's nitrogen purged to keep moisture out. Is it ACOG quality in terms of the glass? No, it's not. But you could buy like 5 of these for the price of 1 ACOG. So you kind of, for the money, you get a great value there. But really, once you learn that reticle too, it's very useful. This one here, the 4X, we've taken out to 400 yards. That's the longest we've used it at. The 2.5, I think 200 yards. Just because I really only have 500 yards of a straight shot where I typically shoot. So that's the farthest we've got it out to. But the holdover reticle, the holdovers work just fine. Like I said, as long as you're using ammo in the range 855-ish velocity and weight, and also that 16-inch barrel. Beyond that, you just need to kind of tweak it for whatever load you use and whatever barrel length you use. But all in all, good little optics for sure. If you guys have any questions about these or anything else we talk about here on the channel, you can always post below in the comment section. You can also post over at my Facebook page as always. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope I answered some of your questions, and I hope to see you in the next video.